All right, folks, we are live. It's a Monday morning. It's actually the last meeting of the year. It's December 30. We are currently working with chapter 9 or 10, depends on how it goes. All right, let me start sharing my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it.
Yep.
All right. I believe we finished reading chapter 9, but I'm not sure if we discussed everything that we wanted to discuss last week, and if you would like to, if you guys would like to revisit some of the stuff, we can do that as well. Yeah, I think this image is a good reminder of what we read last week. So what are we doing? Should we move on to the next chapter? Anyone wants anything to say?
I mean, we can revisit. I would vote for revisit.
I don't think I heard it. Uh,
My vote is to revisit, and we can get everyone's opinion.
yeah,
You say, Nikhil, I didn't hear Nishant.
yeah. He said we can just revisit some of this chapter.
Yeah, I think I go with that.
And we can share something, whatever that comes up.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't I'm not sure how big a chapter this is.
Pretty big.
It's pretty big. Uh, so should we just go back to what we read last week? Because I remember we finished reading almost at the end of the hour. So maybe we can just go somewhere near the image, uh, the chart.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go maybe uh, a page before that image. Let's go to page 62. And how about we just pick a random paragraph? If a paragraph pulls to you, and then you can just start reading.
Okay. Why not say, I invoke my angelic presence? He asked. When you invoke the presence of your angelic self, then you are speaking not from the presence, but from the machine. G said. I invoke the presence of my presence into the present. Now I am speaking from the source, from the presence, falling myself down by my own bootstraps, feeding the angelic self with the force of negative emotion. He began, nurturing and feeding, she clarified. The lunar parasite is fed by manifested organic emotion, the angelic self by substance resulting from organic emotion used to invoke presence. You have a choice. At the end of the day, wrote the score. Who has grown the fatter of the two? Yes.
Does lunar parasite get hungrier and hungrier the more the angelic self is fed? P asked. No need to worry, G reassured us. You will not starve the lunar parasite for a very long time. Lunar parasite has a variety of trickeries. It is very crafty in ways that seems harmless. You will be convinced that what you are doing is completely harmless and even useful, as it hovers, chuckling to itself in amusement. Vampirism is very real, not at all just an old wives' tale. Sometimes I enter into a situation innocently, D admitted, and then observe in myself a certain type of sensation which hints to me that it is lunar parasite who is near. Yet, at first, I think whatever I am doing is not feeding lunar parasite, but then there is a little nagging sensation. Nagging sensation. Suddenly, I become aware of a subtle sensation, as if I could see a tiny light in my brain flicker to indicate that what I am doing is of questionable character. Pass.
And Michelle,
Yes.
that word, which is impossible English word. I mean, why it's spelled that way, nobody in the world knows, but it's gnawing,
Oh my God.
like
Thank you.
gnawing, like chewing,
Oh, a little nine.
gnawing sensation.
Thank
Why
you.
there's a G in there? Nobody's ever figured that out.
That's English language to you.
It's just English. It's like, let's put a G there. Anyway, so that's,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Ah, yes, the tiny blinking red light in the corner of your brain that reads, Sucker! G smiled. R, a professional mechanic, remarked, I am beginning to see the use of invocation as a tool. It seems as if to invoke is like using a wrench. You can use the force of organic emotion as a tool in invocation, similar to another tool, the stop exercise, G said. These are both invocational tools. Surely you know how to use the stop. In an invocation, as a group, you have two immediate problems, G said. First, consider the question, how do you invoke? Along with this is the related question, how do you invoke what? Another question is, how can you tell an organic emotion when you see one? Nearly all negative emotions are not identified properly as involuntary organic emotion. You have another label for these organic emotions. Perhaps you think of them as something else. What are the labels you attach to organic emotions? Being happy, being comfortable are suggested. And then there is this map. You have a choice. One is lunar parasite, the other is angelic self. The lunar parasite is fed by manifested organic emotion, and the angelic self is fed by the substance resulting from organic emotion used to invoke presence. At the end of the day, tote the score. Who has grown the fatter of the two? And I pass there. We can also stop if anyone wants to say something.
So, can you go to that
Answer.
image?
This is an answer. No, go ahead, Nishant.
So, angelic self is fed by substance resulting from organic emotion used to invoke presence.
Yep. Ask it.
Can anybody quote an example of this, what Nishant read, and fed by a substance resulting from the organic emotion used to invoke presence?
Is that your question, Nishant, also?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, what does it mean to invoke? Do we understand what organic emotion, or do we use to, let's just say, invoke presence? Do we know what that is? Maybe a little bit?
That is something start with the sensing your biological machine or something around you.
Okay. Observe yourself very carefully right here, okay, Swati? I want to ask you, Swati, a very direct question. Now, what happened in your presence, in your sense of self, when those words came out of my mouth?
So I became little attentive to what are you saying?
Yeah, right. I mean, there's like an upswing, right, of something.
Right.
What is that? Okay. So that's like there's an enhanced attention. There's like a fuel there. There's a little bit of a fuel that allows something to lift us up a little bit. Okay. That's that something is kind of electrical in nature, but I'm not sure if it's only electrical. I think it's what I term alchemical, because I think it does leave physical substance traces in the human being. When you work to invoke, it leaves something in there. One practitioner said to me that there have been tests that literally show the neurologic difference. I never pursued that. Okay. So we know a little bit of ways to invoke our presence. I said, I'm going to ask you. Okay. When that happens, there's like kind of like a self reflection that starts. Now, let's say you let that go. You say, yes, or you put your hands up and say no. If you say no at that moment, the energy feeds the lunar parasite. Okay. It's actually a good example. If you surrender actively with attention, it feeds the angelic self. So I personally call that substance the like the awareness that is sitting around with the sensing mechanism. That the sensing mechanism is now kind of part of our nature a little bit.
In a way, aren't we like sensing all the time? Maybe we are not aware of it, but aren't we like sensing all the time?
It's like having a radar screen. Okay. You know how they have those radars they kind of spin. They're like, they're picking things up, right? Have you seen those radars? Like
Mhm.
science fiction movies or whatever.
It scans in circle, and if it picks up, then it will show that
Yeah, a
dot.
little beep or something, right? So there's a scanning. We're doing that. Now, in a sense, the machine does that naturally because the machine wants to know, am I going to get eaten by something in the next room? Or if I walk down the hallway, will I survive that? So there's like this awareness. It's like just neutral. We can harvest that for our sensing mechanism. Okay. I mean, for our angelic self, we can use that worry. Like if I go outside and I open the door to outside right now, I can go, and if I'm using the portal exercise, I go, oh my God, what space am I in now? Right. So,
David, what Nikhil said, like, can we put it like that? We are not sensing, but impulses, the organic machine is getting the impulses all the time, but we are sensing only when we are attentive to that particular impulse, or we process any of the impulses. Can we put it that way?
I think that the radar is happening all the time. I'm calling it a sensing radar right now for purposes of this conversation. And if all we ever do is feed our paranoia, you know, am I going to get laughed at? Am I going to get fired? Am I going to get eaten? Am I going to get hit? If that's all that's going on, it just feeds the lower. But the same mechanism, if you start to train it for the higher, then it's there. It's a beautiful tool that you have.
At some point, you said that when we invoke, there are traces that we start producing. Can you speak more on that?
Well, the essential self is, I still don't really understand it, but it's like, does it get bigger? You know, is if I work on myself more and more and more, is the essential self getting bigger? Or is the machine hold lessening? I'm not sure, you know, but from my point of view, I say the more time I spend in the apparent world of the essential self, I think is growing that muscle. I'm growing that muscle. So that's what I mean by that. Yeah. And I think you literally become a different thing. You become literally a different organism. You know the concept. I'm pleased that we have so many studious Indians in this talk. But do you use the term darshan?
Mm-hmm. When you meet a guru,
Yeah. Some gurus don't even say anything, right?
yeah,
What's going on there? What's the mechanism?
mechanism of what in particular?
You Why do you want to even just sit in that room,
Oh,
sit on the floor, and it's kind of uncomfortable. There's all these other people, and why do people want to do that? It's not just in India, but
all around the world. Yeah. I think it's the attraction to uh, the waking state or the high, uh, that the secondary high that you get off of the guru. Many people go to guru for that.
yeah.
Many people go because they feel they'll get some sort of satisfaction or some peace or whatever they're seeking.
But it's also got something to do with the aura, because when you're in that energy, your external thoughts kind of die, right? Like
Yeah.
it just that it's the energy that attracts you, and then it's not just that, but it's even the place in which they live. Sometimes you go in that place and your thoughts are gone, you're just there. So I think that is an attraction that you're just attracted to that, not you in person, but the being probably. So I don't know how to put it, but when you're around somebody who's aware of themselves, there's an energy shift in you, which which we could sense suddenly, that all your worries, they're suddenly just not there. So
And I think at some point, EJ also talked about plugging yourself into something higher, uh, or something like the sorts of uh, connecting with a star, the uh, the the attraction towards, or the gravitation towards that.
what is the attraction towards the star? Could you expand more on that?
I think I remember at some point Coyote was talking about greeting the sun and aligning yourself with something that is happening on a higher cosmic level. And I think Coyote talked about just greeting the sun. Whenever you see the sun, just greet the sun. So you're aligning yourself with something higher. And I think, help me, David, here. But I don't remember exactly what EJ said something along the track with this.
Well, what I was getting to is that the developed individual, like that guru, is emanating. They're emanating this higher vibratory sensation, and our higher self wants to be closer to that same vibratory sensation within ourself. The guru is a reminding factor of a profound level.
But David, many times people who go to darshans and all that, they end up surrounding themselves with fake gurus and being duped with, there are a lot of cults that are going on in the world as well.
Sure.
So is the attraction that people feel, is that how do we discern? How do we have the discernment that, hey, this is
You really put yourself into it now. How do we discern?
But the question is, I recall what he's saying through Gurdjieff's terms, that there's man number A, B, C, the level or something. And I recall that in that he used to say that whatever is your state of being is what you'll attract. But it does not matter, like, if the guru is false, but if your state is real, then you'll get something higher. So it's again, so some people are just how should I put it, like, some people are only into darshan, right, like temples or something. So then they're into idol worship, they'll get everything related to idol worship. That's what I understood from that reading. If somebody is all about just questioning and thoughts, then they'll be attracted to someone who questions and who's yearning towards a higher state. Somebody is all about emotion, then they'll find someone who's got bhajans and all of that. So then they'll be attracted to the emotional state of it. So whatever your state is, that's the attraction you go towards. And then from there, if the what do you say, the wanting of knowing yourself is more and more, then it'll automatically, like, existence will provide more and more to you. So, but sometimes you have to go through those wrong ones to get to the right one, kind of, So I think it's something, it's a process. I feel that every person would have that, whatever their state is, they'll get attracted to that kind. and then it'll expand more into the subtle ones. Yeah. So
I think this reminds me of a movie that Bernie recommended me last year or perhaps this year about an Indian guy who decides to go to India, study some of the gurus, and come back and tries and fakes being a guru. But at like towards the end, when he reveals that he is a fake, guru, some of the people, half of them leave, but there are still half of them who really say that they benefited from the experience and being with them and getting wisdom from the guru. Bernie, do you remember that? I don't know what movie that
Yes,
was. I was very,
yes,
I was very entertained by that.
yeah. I once heard a kind of anecdote that was a disciple that went to what appeared to be a master and said, "Hey, how can I discern a real master from a fake one?" So the master gave him some, let's see, tests. The guy said, "Oh, now I know. Now I will try anything." And the master said, "Oh, but there is only one problem." What problem, master? The problem is that any guru that takes you as a disciple is fake.
That's a good one.
Can
Uh-oh.
someone say that? I didn't hear it. Sorry.
You want me to repeat it,
Yeah,
Michelle?
yeah, I think
Yes, the guy goes. I don't know exactly, but I heard that one, and the guy goes to the master, guru or whatever, and he says, "Hey, give me the test that tests that I can make any master to know if it is a real master or a fake one." So the guy gives him the test, and he's delighted. So, "Oh, now I know. From now on, I will test it." But the master says, "There is only one problem." "What, master?" "Well, the master that takes you as a disciple, that is a fake one."
yeah.
And I thought it was very interesting.
Was this from the movie or?
He was
A
telling
movie?
a different joke.
A movie?
No, he wasn't responding to the movie.
No. I'm asking if that joke was from the movie or where you said this was an anecdote, right? So
No, I was present. I was present when this happened, and
oh.
it was very hilarious because also the guy wasn't very pleased with the answer. No, of course.
Oh, that's right. You did say it was an anecdote. Silly me. I thought.
Yes, and I like the Naruddin stories. I don't know if this has anything to do with what we are discussing because I became late today. But Naruddin, I need to tell it because I'm laughing in my inside. Naruddin, his neighbor, has a dog that is all day barking. Wow, 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 wow. And Naruddin is fed up, and he asked him many times to stop the barking of the dog. And the neighbor didn't give him any possibility. So he finally goes to the neighbor and buys the dog. And he brings the dog to his house. When he brings the dog to his house, the dog, of course, he keeps barking again. And another neighbor comes to Nasruddin and say, "Nasruddin, what have you done? You have bought this dog, and he is continually barking. Yes, but I bought them so that the neighbor sees what is the problem with the door bark. So he can feel the nuisance of a dog barking. So he bought the I, I read this in the morning. It was very humorous, at least for me. I don't know if it has anything to do with this, but I'm still laughing. Sorry.
So this previous page, when it says the angelic self is fed by substance resulting from organic emotion used to invoke presence. So is it, we have this angel's healing journey. So is it that connected to where you have the angelic self is uh, has those healing properties?
You mean, are there higher feelings?
Yeah, like angelic self, when if you are feeding the angelic self and not the lunar parasite, does it have the properties where we have like when we do healing prayers?
Yes, it does.
Uh,
Like gratitude would be an example of a method of invoking a higher emotion. I use wonder a lot, pure wonder,
mm,
not mental wonder, but just, what is this? What is this
mm,
before me? And it's a real question of wonder. It kind of wonder has the sense of like clearing the slate and
mm,
suddenly seeing what's in front of you afresh. And there's a beauty to that.
yeah,
I think
okay. Yes, sorry.
no, I just wanted to, because I wasn't there. I don't know if you've discussed this, but the point about manifested and the point about substance fed by substance resulting from organic emotion. So I think the manifested and the substance is the manifested is that made up, right? Like in a way. And then substance is right in front of you. So then that becomes everything existing in front of you.
Yeah, so what's the substance then?
I mean, everything around you, the air that you breathe, the flowers that you see, the wind that is blowing, how the leaf just goes down, in the fall. Like, how is it all happening? The beauty of it, the sun rising and setting. How is the earth moving in this space all by itself and carrying all of us? Like, everything that it's feeding us, every bit that you live, it feels like an awe that every bit of your machine, right? Like, how do you breathe in and breathe out and you're living? I mean, the substance would be everything associated to you, around you, which is visible, right? It's like in pure sight, but manifested is in the thought. So everything, what if this happens, or the scare, or this, or every emotion that is not real. Like, is it as real as the flower that you feel, you know
But the thing isn't that what causes it, it's your attitude towards it. Like some people might just walk right by the flower. They'll notice it, but they walk by it. It's because you have a different mood, and that mood allows you to see it in a particular kind of wonder.
but again, that's the substance. So like,
Your mood is the substance.
mm,
Notice your mood. What is the mood that brings you to wondering? about the impossible beauty of your child, or the, the plate sitting on the table and it's with a light hitting it in a certain way. You bring something to that Bhavani. It's nothing. It's just blank.
But again, like, isn't it, like, I understand what you're saying, but the entirety of even like to invoke that higher self, but you have to be in connection with that substance.
Yes. Yes.
Just the breath, for example, sometimes they just concentrate only on breathing because that is the substance. It's real, if you don't breathe, you don't live. So anything that is, so I don't know how to put it, but to connect to anything around you, basically, that substance around you.
But to really connect with it,
Yeah.
to really connect, so that you suspend your momentary judgment of the thing and enter into, in a sense of wonder about it.
Mm.
And you do get, the feedback is that there's beauty there, pretty much no matter what it is.
Mm.
But if you didn't have
Yeah,
food, or Nishant, if you didn't have that mood, you would have a substance from which to draw from.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to get to.
Good. Okay.
Because here it specifically says fed by substance resulting from organic emotion used to invoke presence. So you use anything around you, which is that substance, to get to the higher order.
Yeah, I think the idea is to use whatever is available to feed the angelic self or to invoke your presence.
yeah. So if it is manifested emotion, that and if you use that emotion to invoke the presence,
Say that again. Say those
and
words.
so so the organic emotion manifested is feeding the lunar parasite. And if we are using that organic emotion to invoke the presence,
But
that,
no, sorry, go ahead.
So to me, what it looks like is that the organic emotion is like a double-edged sword. You can either use it to feed the lunar parasite which is fed by manifesting organic emotion, or you can feed that to the angelic self to invoke presence. That's
Yeah, and it's so weird. I recall this moment that happened in Madhopur when I was walking, and I could just relate to this like through and through. So I remember there was this cobras, in Madhopur there are cobras running around, and I lived in the wilderness, for a while. And I recall this moment when I saw a snake. uh, it was a cobra and it was hissing at me because I was walking close to it and I heard the hissing. And I recall that I just saw it as it was and the beauty of the hissing. But I went 2 steps back because I knew I was in the bubble. So once I went a couple of steps back, it went away. And I realized a similar incident happening in the kitchen where there was actually a cobra hissing. And the thing was, I was walking right into it, and there were a lot of people over there, and they just dragged me away because I was like 2 steps away from the cobra. And I recall that suddenly I had a fear of what was it, and I remember that is manifested, like it is real in a way. But at the same time, the sudden pulling me and sudden feeling, that fear of something biting me, so that is manifested. The reality is a cobra hissing, and it ends there. But the manifestation of it was that, oh, what if I stepped on it, and what if I was bitten? And that manifested. Do you get that emotion, the difference of it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one is mechanical. Oh my God, what if I had stepped on it? Oh my, that's the machine. I've never encountered a cobra in the wild, but I have encountered a bear, a brown bear, and also a bobcat, which is a type of larger cat here in the United States. And when I came across the bear, we were at a safe distance, but its beauty overtook me. It was so beautiful to look at, and its power was just emanating from it. So I was able to pause for some reason, okay, which is important. I was able to pause and really notice it. Then I started running.
And David, what I've noticed is that when you're in the presence of anything wild, they have some energy in them.
Yeah.
Some energy which stops you, which stops every thought that you have. So if you ever come in across any wild animal, the first thing is just a pause. So see, be it a giraffe or even if it's in the zoo, if you just look at it, it's just a pause which emanates anything wild, So
Mhm.
I mean, that's why I think people go to these safaris and all, because when you experience that wilderness of how life is, it's so amazing because, yeah, it's just, yeah.
I think when we go into the wilderness, or whenever we go into the wild, we sort of get connected to the animal brain or the lizard brain inside our brains. And I think uh, because I think some part of us goes into survival mode whenever we go into the wild, even though we might be safe, inside our vehicle or whatever.
Yeah, the instinct basically kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what it creates a pause in you, because it creates actually not a pause but a stop of thoughts.
A what?
A stop of thoughts.
Oh.
Like it'll stop you thinking. It'll just let you be, So that's why when we go to parks or anything natural, cockroachy.
Yeah.
Oh, the survival. Yeah, cockroach. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I think if you ever want to see the machine in action, put yourself in front of a snake, and I think you'll see the machine in action,
Yeah.
trying to survive for your own life.
I'm in a funny mood today. Sorry, guys.
Good.
Go for well. It's the last. It's almost New Year's, so it's fitting.
We need a few more body jokes.
Go for it.
What do you have in mind, Bernie?
No, 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 no. No, no, no. That's
Oh,
cannot go with.
okay.
Is someone can give me an example of an organic emotion that
So
that they use to invoke their presence?
Example, jealousy.
No, no, no. That's not an organic. That's
Oh,
a reactive emotion.
that's
Oh,
a,
That's reaction. I react. She's saying the simplest one that comes to mind is gratitude.
yeah,
True gratitude.
yeah. And EJ keeps saying blessings, right? Blessing.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think wonder. David said wonder. That also seems like a.
Wonder.
Michelle, does that help?
Well, what is the difference with organic emotion and negative emotion?
Does anybody remember that discussion in HBM?
Uh, All organic emotion is negative.
All machine emotion is a reaction to something. It could be either a negative emotion or positive emotion, but it's a reaction.
So one organic emotion can be jealousy.
Well, I call that the machine emotion. I don't use the word organic for that. I mean,
Mhm.
But can't we use like machine manifestations to invoke presences as well? So even though if I have jealousy, I can still use jealousy to invoke presence.
if you observe it as if you observe your machine in jealousy, you bet
yeah,
that is 100% really
Very
what
powerful.
yeah.
very
I remember Osho's somebody asking Osho that, can I be aware and smoke? And can I smoke in awareness or something? And he said yes to one, he said no to the other. so it's something like that, that I forgot exactly what it was, but aren't all emotions organic? So all of them are organic, but some are manifested, and so
and
all.
that's a good way. If it manifests from you, then it's probably a higher and not a negative emotion.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the time, but I have an exercise for everybody. Okay. Since the exercise is to find somebody, and it can't really be, it shouldn't really be your dog or cat or something like that, or your fish tank, but find somebody and tell them a joke. Everybody mind goes blank and they go, I don't know any jokes. You're sitting around having maybe coffee with friends at wherever, or go ahead and tell a joke.
And then,
Just the exercise is to watch yourself, to put yourself in a position where you are doing that.
hmm,
Because it's for most people, it's not natural.
okay,
There's like the young Buddhist man is walking down the road and he's not really noticing anything. and he kind of like slips and he falls off the cliff. But thank God he grabbed this big root and he's holding on, right? And he goes, oh Buddha, can you help me? Can you help me? The sky opens up and there's this big booming voice, and the Buddha says, you need to practice let go, letting go, letting go. And the guy is sitting there and he goes, thinks about that for a while and he goes, is there anybody else up there?
Yes, excellent. Wonderful.
That's an example of a joke.
Very, very, very profound one, no? Also.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, there might be holidays and holiday parties, and put yourself in a position to tell a joke and then attempt to do it. And then notice yourself. That's the most important thing. Because in order to begin it, you have to invoke a certain presence. You have to be in presence to do that. But then watch what it does to the people around you.
So you're saying observe the people and yourself at the same time.
No, observe yourself and the people. You start with yourself, Nikhil. This is called work on self, not as Rudy Darby used to say, practical work on others.
All
I
right.
think
Yeah,
I think Ichi has a joke book. I was trying to see if I can digitally, if it's on gateways. But anyway, there is a joke book somewhere. If I find it, I'll send you your.
oh, I need it. I'm not good at jokes.
Everybody,
That's why it's good for you to do it. That's for me
exactly.
too, the same.
You'll benefit the most out of it.
That's it. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it'll be great if you could send it. Yeah.
Oh, there. Yeah. I will look for it.
And maybe we could discuss more on the manifested. And I don't know if that was,
But you know what? Let's just discuss next year. How about that?
Yay.
Yeah.
Let's
To
come back
begin the year.
next Monday. Let's begin next year.
Start with
All right.
some jokes.
Yeah, maybe we can start the year with a comedy night. Oh,
Maybe next year we all bring a joke to tell each other.
yeah.
Yeah. Some dad jokes. I don't get it. Why don't they say some mom jokes? Because moms, I don't think moms are that great either.
no, they aren't.
Uh-oh. All right.
All right.
Thank you guys for coming. I'll see you
Thank
next
you.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Happy
Bye.
Happy
every
New Year. all.
Bye.